Environmental justice is the fair and meaningful participation and treatment of all people, regardless of race, color, income, national origin, or age, in the environmental process. People need to have a say in what happens in their backyards.
I believe at the end of the day, whether it be climate justice, environmental justice, justice is justice. And I think justice should be an equal distribution of resources.
So I was born and raised in Yonkers. I've always been in love with the infrastructure of Yonkers. So this area in particular is impacted by heat because there's aren't any trees or anything really causing any shade. And so it really had me look into like heat islands and what does that mean.
Each year, hundreds of people in the United States die from extreme heat. Usually, the people that suffer from that would be the most vulnerable people.
You can't speak about racism without classism. And when you take a step back and look at redlining is all I know, it's all my family knows.
When we look at redlining maps and we overlay them with the heat map, what we find out is that neighborhoods which were historically redlined could get up to 10 degrees difference.
Once I started doing my research with the community, I realized that this could have all been prevented with some education. So one of the things we would love to see more of in the community is more awnings coming out of the businesses, something like this.
There have been a lot of communities, low income and communities of color, that have been historically overburdened by environmental issues. Incinerators within a mile from where they live. They have landfills in their backyards. There are electric generating facilities nearby. They're experiencing high levels of air pollution, water pollution. What we see is that the people who are suffering from all these environmental justice issues, they're not contributing as much to greenhouse gases, but they're bearing a disproportionate burden of the effects from that.
So I live right down this block, and if you go straight down, there's no trees. There's only one tree on the right side, and everyone on the block calls it like the tree of life. Because when it's a scorching hot day, you'll see everybody as they pass by stop there to kind of cool down. I saw you on the bus. How was school?
This is the hottest summer for me. It was too hot. I've been doing this for years, but for me, this year it was the worst.
So you see a lot of these communities have extremely high asthma rates. They have higher instances of cancer and lung disease, and even higher instances of diabetes, all from being exposed to these environmental harms.
We need to make sure that those folks in those areas are taken care of health-wise, and whenever there are any efforts to clean up the environment, that they get first rights to the jobs. That's environmental justice to me.
Groundwork Hudson Valley is a Yonkers, New York-based environmental nonprofit that works to create sustainable environmental change in urban neighborhoods and promote equity, youth leadership, and economic development. Here in Yonkers, we're focusing on the two main impacts of climate change. These are extreme heat and extreme rain events, which cause a lot of flooding issues. We're at the back of housing property that suffers from recurring flooding, where Groundwork Hudson Valley came with our youth employment program known as the Green Team to help and solve the flooding issue. So right here you could see a rain garden that our youth group built here.
Green Team grabs students from multiple different schools in Yonkers and teaches us how to help the community. We planted trees around, and my experiences was a lot of fun.
So right now we're on our way to a climate change task force meeting.
Groundwork Hudson Valley joined a national partnership called Climate Safe Neighborhoods and work with the community to promote nature-based solutions.
The first thing that Groundwork did, which was great, was reach out to local community-based organizations to say, how can we get this message out? Help us help you.
I think it's a common misconception that people who live in these urbanized areas and these communities aren't interested in environmental conservation, and it's just the opposite. They understand exactly what needs to be done to make sure that we have a resilient community, that everybody has a seat at the table, everybody's talking, we're thinking forward.
I think that our planet is our house.
First, we wanted to explain what a climate action plan is.
Sometimes our community needs to see someone from their community bringing that information.
We are asking them to dedicate their time, and just like I get paid for the work that I do, we need to pay those community members that actually give us their knowledge, which has value to it.
If you want to find out what the community wants, if you really want to find out what they want, just go talk to them. Don't be afraid. Go where they are.
My hope for the future is that we do get a lot more trees, a lot more coverage, more parks, more green spaces, just more areas for people to be one with nature, honestly.
The future, I would want to see good health and more education, and I think that together we can make something happen.
It all trickles down from economic development. If people have money and resources, everything will improve.
Well, the future for climate resilience has to involve meaningful participation from everyone. So involving people in the planning process, making sure environmental justice principles are implemented from day one.
And what we want to see for every resident of our city, of all colors, creeds, nationalities, and ethnicity, is a fair and equitable existence. And so this is the first step in moving that needle forward in the right direction.
Climate Smart Communities is a certification program that provides support and funding for local municipalities. The program has information and resources on how to create inclusive community engagement through several of its actions. Visit climatesmart.newyork.gov to learn more.